Hello everyone. Today we have with us Sélim Ourtani from Sertalink. Hi Sélim, thank you for your time and thank you for joining us for this talk show. If you can just quickly introduce yourself for our viewers.
My name is Sélim Ourtani. I'm the founder from the company called Sertalink. The company is today 5 years in partnership with ManageEngine. Besides being the company owner, I also have a CISO role for two companies. Our company itself is today 25 people big, and we address the Belgian and Luxembourgish markets.
Yeah, that's great. So since you have a really relevant background, we thought we could have our focus on cybersecurity and look at the different trends, especially in Belgium. So I'd like to start off with a question for you based on that. So what would you say are the buying trends or purchasing trends for different enterprises or small and medium-sized businesses as well when it comes to investing in cybersecurity?
Right. So I think we can put in three categories. We have customers in small, medium, and large. So on the small, medium size, we could say they would look for an all-in-one solution. An all-in-one solution which allows them to track their security very easy. They would look maybe for managed services, something very simple and efficient. If we would go more for a bit more larger companies and not full enterprise yet, they would look maybe more for solutions where they would have user awareness added to reduce the risk on the user level. But at the same time, they would also invest in solutions maybe more, let's say, XDR, next generation SIEM. So they are towards that market more. If you go looking more to the large enterprise, I think they will definitely look more in the threat intelligence solutions where you have a custom SIEM which will address all their security needs.
Right. Yeah. I think that makes sense. Like going with the larger the enterprise, the more they have the freedom or also the capabilities of looking at a larger picture as well when it comes to investing. So on the same line, in case, since you also touched upon smaller scale businesses, in case they have a limited budget, and of course, cybersecurity is also a concern for any, type size of business. So in that case, what would you say they're willing to put their money on, especially when it comes to security tools and technologies?
Yeah. So if you would ask me a top 5, I think let's start first with enabling MFA.
Right.
MFA is, I think, a no-brainer. Every organization should have it.
Definitely.
The second one would be a solution endpoint security. A quick win securing the endpoints, whether it's a client or a server.
Yes.
As third, you could say more something holistic security for everything, which could be then the SIEM or the next generation modern SIEM XDR platforms.
Yep.
And then maybe 4 and 5, I would say for 4, we could maybe use proper firewalling, securing the parameters, zero trust, these kind of things.
Yeah.
And as 5, I would say a good backup strategy.
Great. Yeah. I think that's pretty important as well, which probably doesn't come under the focus a lot of times. So I'm glad you mentioned that in your points as well. When we talk about, SIM security and identity and access management, what do you think is the adoption when it comes to these technologies, and what are the expectations do enterprises have in Belgium?
So if we were talking about EAM and SIEM. Yeah. So if we talk about EAM and SIEM, I think for the Belgian market, we will be today mainly influenced by NIS2.
Okay.
The compliance and legislation that actually will help a lot of organizations to become more mature in cybersecurity.
Yes.
With that comes requirements like having a SIEM solution for log management, threat management, could be anything that goes with. So if you look for the Belgian market, I think we will be for sure influenced this year by NIS2. NIS2 has a legislation that actually enforces organizations to become more cyber secure, more cyber mature. With that legislation, there are requirements that would ask organizations to keep more logs. In this way would be definitely an investment for SIEM to have a solution in place to collect all the logs for possible threat detection and response.
Yes.
On the other hand, on identity access management, there are requirements like private access management. These domains are definitely domains that organizations will address this year, next year, due to NIS2.
Yeah. I think that's a really important point, and I'm glad you brought the compliance perspective to security, because that is also a huge part for an organization trying to achieve cybersecurity. Since NIS2 is kind of big, when we look at the perspective from different organizations in different industries, do you think there's going to be more regulations for specific industries, let's say banking or healthcare or education? I know we have multiple regulations in place already from a general perspective, but I'm trying to get your opinion on the vertical.
So from what I've seen in my career in cybersecurity, what I've seen, GDPR, of course, NIS2, we have DORA coming. So we see more and more compliance coming. Compliance is actually a business enabler to become more secure as an organization, to make them more resilient, cyber resilient, of course. But what I've seen, example, in the Asia market, when I was traveling, I went to South Korea. They had already 10 years ago, more than 10 compliances for one company. So if I see that today in the European markets, they are starting to get very mature in security and IT. So I'm assuming the aluminium automobile sector, they use TISAX, something specifically. If you want to work with BMW and all these parties, you need to be TISAX compliant.
Right.
There are special compliance for transport. So I think there is going to be a shift towards each industry specific to be compliant, because they want to protect the supply chain.
Yes, yeah. And I think that's very important as well. So thank you for adding the compliance part of it. Since we were talking about, SIM investments and seeing how organizations are actually trying to bring this in their cybersecurity strategy, how do you think they can evaluate the ROI that they make in these investments? How do you think they can see this? Can they quantify it? And what are the different areas that they should be looking at?
I think for doing the exercise, or be able to explain your investments, if you could say it like that, is to have metrics in place where you can actually measure, example, mean time to breach.
So since we are, on the conversation about how enterprises are adopting SIM and investing their money into it as well, how do you say these organizations can actually calculate the ROI on these investments? What do they need to look at? What aspects can they look at? Is it even quantifiable? So I'd like to ask your opinion on that.
Yeah. There are different ways to do this. You could do a cost calculation for a breach. So see what would it cost if you would have been breached. Calculating the possible cost of a breach, by calculating the production process and everything that is in play. What would be the cost for one day being out of business?
Yes.
So we can do this in a few ways. We can do it based on incident cost calculation. So we would actually do an exercise what a cost would be if an organization is down for one day due to a breach.
Yes.
Right. Another way would be what is the penalty of a compliance? If I don't apply a compliance, what would be the possible cost for a fine? Yeah. Another exercise could be what is the mean time to detect and respond to a breach? So these are exercises you could do. And in the business terms, nowadays we say security validation. So we can actually validate whether our security controls are resilient.
Right.
And based on that exercise, we get a report, and this is more tangible. So you would see where your gaps are, and it allows you to actually harden your organization to be not a possible next, let's say, this victim of a breach.
Right. Yeah. I think you made some really good points, especially going over the metrics. And the first one, I think, is my favorite, where in case you're actually out of business, just calculating the cost of a breach can put these things in perspective. That was really good. And a last question that I'll ask for you is, I'm sure you've heard of this very commonly a lot of people talk about AI, and we have a lot of technologies in general itself with AI. So especially in the SIM market or the cybersecurity part of it, how do you think is the AI adoption, especially in Belgium?
So today it's, I think, still very in the early stage. We are still seeing and exploring the potential that this technology can give towards the SIM markets, or XDR market nowadays, what we can call it.
Yes.
I've seen examples from some parties where they use, like you would use ChatGPT, ask a question to your AI, give me this log. I want to know what device in my organization was communicating with Russia or with North Korea. And you just ask that question and it will give you that output, very simple.
Right.
So I think there is going to be a big evolution in the coming years where we can actually remove repetitive tasks from security analyst tasks, incident forensics tasks, which can be fully automated in an autonomous way by using that capability.
Like reducing the workload of the SOC teams and so on. Yeah, I think that's a great way of looking at AI adoption, just because it is everywhere, and organizations are also looking to reduce their workload, or how they can have and costs exactly, and how they can bring in AI. So that was a good perspective.